In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern. There is actually some pretty strong lines of storms that we do expect to come through, and also that very big cooldown that we're going to be talking more about today. But I want to tell you guys more about my company, Trilogy Maps. We do have that 50% off spring sale that is going on. They are some of the best maps that most people have ever seen. That's most of the feedback that we've gotten. So we've gotten awesome feedback from our customers. I highly recommend at least checking it out in the pinned comment and description down below. You can also use the discount code DIRECT to get an extra 33% off on top of the 50%. I don't even know what I'm doing. Am I even good at running a business? Because that seems like too much of a discount, but I'm still doing it anyway because I'm absolutely crazy. So go ahead and check it out today. Again, description and pinned comment down below. We're taking a look here later today, and as you can see, we're already going to have a storm flaring up here. Colorado, we have this low setting up. We have a cold front, warm front, a little bit of a dynamic there going on, so we can expect more showery conditions up here on the northern quadrant here of this storm, and then most likely more thunderstorm activity in here. That's obviously pretty generalized, and it can be either way. You know, you can mix and match that ideology there, but for the most part, this cold front area of a storm is going to be the much more thunderstorm area. The area to the north that is more warm front like is going to be that more showery and more persistent rainfall. As we reach the overnight hours, we can still be dealing with thunderstorms here. For the most part here in states like Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana. Here we're dealing with all of these areas, dealing with some thunderstorm activity in there. As we just move this forward again by Friday the 12th here, we can see that this low is primarily located over Nebraska there, and we have this more cold front looking area spreading throughout Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, the deeper south, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. We're seeing just so many areas dealing with these thunderstorms. It is very, very interesting what we're seeing here. We also see that this area is dealing with some heavier rainfall here for Minnesota, the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. Still a little bit of snowfall has happened in here from this storm, so we're going to take a look at that as well. I'm very curious to see on the total snowfall after this storm is done how much we actually expect to happen after that, because I bet it's going to be really, really deducted to say the least. By the time we're reaching Saturday, we can see there's a couple of areas that I'm watching for thunderstorm activity. One here kind of in the mid-Atlantic and southeast, and then one down here in the deeper south. In general, this area up here is going to be much more of just showers and more persistent rainfall. Let me know in the comments down below, just some feedback from you guys. How do you feel about me more pointing out the areas that I expect thunderstorms and things like that? The more specifics of the type of precipitation and type of storms that will be over areas. Because I want to make sure that you guys are very interested in that type of a metric that I'm trying to come up with, because I only want to be giving you guys useful information. I don't want to be wasting my breath on something that, you know, nobody really needs to know about. It's hard for me because I'm interested in all aspects of weather, and I know not everybody is. So I've tried to really, really dial it back as far as technicalities and get much more towards the more simplistic and more practical things to talk about with you guys. So let me know down below what you think of that. As we reach in towards Sunday here, the 14th, we can see that we have some more storminess setting up over the Rockies here down through the deeper south. The most consistent thing here is that we're dealing with this just persistent thunderstorm activity here in the deeper south central United States here. So as you can see, we're dealing with these very, very heavy thunderstorms, very persistent. They don't really come to an end anytime soon. So certainly going to be something to really just something very, very interesting here. Now, as we can see, there's also a few thunderstorms around here, as you can see, for the Ohio Valley and Southeast, still on Sunday, May 14th there. That's going to be Mother's Day, by the way. Just a reminder for all of you out there. As you can see, Monday here on the 15th, we get another line of thunderstorms here throughout a bit of the mid-Atlantic and southeast. And also, again, the south central United States just dealing with this persistent thunderstorm activity. It's amazing to me how many days back to back to back you guys are dealing with the precipitation in the area. It's just extremely interesting, to say the least. Tuesday here on the 16th, things get a little bit quieter, except for, you guessed it, the south central United States is basically the only area dealing with any type of activity at this point. Very interesting, to say the least. As you can see, the jet stream is doing something like this as this big cool down moves in. By this point, we've kind of pointed out for about a week or more now that this kind of after the 15th time frame is when we're looking for cooler conditions to move back in, and sure enough, this has stayed basically the outlook. So we've been just tracking and tracking and tracking, and now finally that seems to be what is definitely expected. At the same time, though, we do get a pretty interesting factor here. There's this major trough bringing cooler air into the east. This will likely deduct the possibility of thunderstorms, not entirely the possibility, but the probability at least. We can see lots of activity for the south central and all of the west here picking up with this ridge, as you can see. Lots of storminess taking place out there by this point. And by the time we reach the high temperatures of Thursday, we can see this pretty interesting low is trying to like dive down south. It does have a bit of a cold front with it. So I am curious to see what this is going to bring as far as impact. So let's move this towards Friday. And as you can see, it's a 995 up here in Canada, so pretty intense. And this is bringing a bit of a cold front, so definitely you can anticipate thunderstorms along that line there on the 19th and then the 20th there. Look at that. We have plenty of thunderstorms as a result of this, as you can see, all the way up through Florida, south central United States still dealing with some thunderstorms. And then all the way up through a lot of the mid-Atlantic and southeast, we're dealing with this cold front, which would certainly bring the possibility of a pretty strong line of thunderstorms. So we'd be watching for that around the 19th through the 21st time frame. That's when we will be watching for that type of activity to move through. Regardless, I think it's a very, very interesting setup, to say the least. As we move into the total precipitation, we can see, again, these areas are really just doing extreme amounts of rainfall here over the next 10 days. Anywhere in the reds is going to be about 2 to 6 inches of rainfall. Your browns and grays are going to be 6 to 10 inches. And then your blues there, which we see for the very far southern areas there of Texas, that's going to be 10 inches plus. So a lot of rainfall expected for these areas. But not only that, we can see throughout the upper Midwest down through the kind of mid-Atlantic and southeast, we also have some sporadic reds popping up. It adds a rule of thumb. Anywhere in the reds is going to be pretty much above average for a 10-day period. It just depends how much rainfall you actually expect to see. But that is a lot for 10 days. And that's usually where we kind of indicate a lot of activity is going to be happening in the reds and above. Anywhere in the blues, yellows, greens, that's going to be much closer to average amounts. And then whites and grays is like almost none. So that is where we're seeing below average amounts of precipitation. Total snowfall. We can point out a couple of areas here. First off, maybe some flakes flying for New England. Still pretty late in the season, but not unheard of, obviously. We do have a little bit here for the Sierra Nevadas there, and then even Nevada itself, we see a little bit. But it's really this Rockies area that is still holding on to that snowfall. But again, after the next 72 hours, I'm curious to see how much snowfall will actually be left after that point to be expected, because a lot of it that we're seeing here is in the next 72 hours. Very interesting stuff. Now, as we move on to the temperature pattern, again, we're staying warmer through the weekend, but then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're cooling down. So we're getting really close to this. Anytime after the 15th and in general is when we're dealing with mostly colder temperatures in this corridor. And as you can see, mostly warmth here for these areas out west and even for the north central United States. And this is a very strong positive PNA feature that is causing this kind of backdoor cold air to dive down into the east. And we don't really break away from that pattern for the most part, as you can see all the way through the 24th here. I mean, it's looking very similar, positive PNA there, cold temperatures moving down. That is still what we're dealing with, and really we don't see anything changing all the way through the 26th. The only thing I will say is that as we get into the longer range here, like for instance right now we're looking at Thursday into Friday the 25th into the 26th, which is extremely long range, by the way. This model seems to drop in confidence significantly, so we're only seeing a little bit of yellows here, same areas, and then we're seeing a little bit of blues here. Now, when we see this ensemble model kind of get very averaged out like this, where it's just very, very close to average from coast to coast, usually that means that confidence is really, really low. So we're going to see, maybe we will see a flip around. I want to see when it starts getting really averaged out. Maybe around the 25th, we could see some sort of flip. But for now, the 15th through the 25th looks pretty cool in the east and pretty warm out west. And there's no signs of this model really changing its mind or getting questionable until about that 25th and beyond time frame, which is right at the end of the model run. So you're going to want to tune in with us daily. We do go over this daily, and we're going to really track this with you guys. As we can see tomorrow, we will see into the 26th and into the 27th. The next day we'll be approaching the 28th, so we're going to get some more insight moving forward as to when we could see a flip back towards the warm temperatures, so I'm really excited to see that with you guys. Again, the Trilogy Maps link is in the description and the pinned comment down below. I highly recommend checking that out. Also, be sure to subscribe for those daily uploads. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Also, be sure to like the video and leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.